On today's episode, we are going to delve deep into the concept of teach to sell. If you're having a hard time selling as much as you want, or maybe your team or your organization isn't, today is going to be revolutionary for you. You're going to realize that maybe you're going about it all wrong. I have with me a very dear friend who I'll announce here in just a second, but we're going deep on a book that he poured his heart and soul into, and you're going to absolutely love it. It's going to change the way that you sell, and you're going to sell differently than you ever have before. So stay tuned. It's going to be a great episode. All right, welcome back, everybody. Excited to bring back to this stage, actually first time on this stage, but a many-time guest on the Think Bigger Real Estate stage, my dear friend, Dan Rochon. Dan, so good to have you here with me today. How you doing, my friend?
Hey, good to see you.
Great to see you. I'm excited about this topic. I have the good fortune to get one of the early advanced copies of Teach to Sell with even a personal note from the author himself. Very meaningful. And this upcoming week, in fact, this upcoming week is launch week, right? June 23rd.
Right now. Yeah,
here we go, baby. We are launching. Excited to get this into the hands of people. So for those of you who have to sign off early, if you have to, go to teachtosellbook.com. This book will change your life. I'm not even all the way through it yet, and I'm like, there are so many nuggets in here. So anyway, excited about that. Dan, let's give some context to you. I'll share my experience with you. Dan is one of the most genuine, good-hearted people I've ever met, number one. Number two, the guy is a total baller. Like, he crushes it. So for those that are in the real estate space, you realize that having 10 closings a month is a pretty big achievement. Dan accomplished that repeatedly for years and years and years. Like, the guy absolutely knows how to sell. And today we're going to actually get into some of the secrets. So again, a doting father, just an absolute incredible human being, and somebody who actually went through some pretty difficult phases in his life that you'll learn about in the book. So Dan, what else would you add to that I might have overlooked, besides being a multiple-time author and a great human?
Well, thank you. I don't know, when I get introduced as a great human being, I don't know how else I can top that. But I would tell you this. I would say that I'm just a normal guy who got involved in entrepreneurship around 20 years ago, sales, specifically in real estate. And I was able to figure it out, before I was a real estate agent, I was a drunk waiter. I got sober 21 years ago, and so I say if a drunk waiter can have consistent, predictable income, no broke months since 2008, that's my my ongoing record there, then I think pretty much anybody can do it. As long as you know how, as long as you're given the formula, given the blueprint.
Speaking of the blueprint, Dan, I really appreciated how you laid this book out. It's really, there's four kind of major sections, right? Belief, lead generation, building an organization, and leadership. And the part that I'm really going deep on is the part about belief, because sometimes we think that that's, us just believing in ourselves, but you tie it so closely to trust. And obviously here on the Built on Referrals podcast, our mission is to help people to build a modern business on the timeless foundation of relationships. And without trust, relationships don't exist. Like, those two go together. So talk to us a little bit about, kind of through that context, of people who want to build an incredible business that's relationship-based. Talk to us about belief. Let's start with that kind of section one. What would you say that would really kind of help people to have an idea of what they'll find in the book?
People do not refer you because you asked. They refer you because they trust you with their reputation. Most people ask for referrals too early, and a referral happens when someone believes that you cared about them, that you understood their problem, that you guided them well, or you will guide them well, that you're making them feel safe, and that you make them look good by referring you. So one of the things when we look at referrals, it's like, why would somebody refer Justin? It's not because, let's say Justin's a hairdresser, right? And let's say that you're a woman looking for a hairdresser. You say, go to my boy Justin Stoddart. He's going to take great care of you. That referral isn't about the person that you're referring, and it's not about Justin. It's about the person who is referring. And so what is the person who is referring? What do they want? They want to look good. So when I refer to Justin, Justin's going to really take great care of my referrals because I trust you. And that trust has been earned through the relationship. Teach to Sell guides you how to be able to do that in a systematic way. Because it's great just to sort of talk, and we'll go into some of those systems today, but it's great to be able to like, oh, listen harder, care more, whatever the case may be. But if you don't have a system to do so, it becomes pretty challenging.
I think that's what a lot of people are missing, right? It's kind of, let's go be a good human and build trust and ask for referrals. And then people are disappointed in the fact that they don't get as many as they want, right?
Yeah.
And what you've done is actually created, as you said, you've systematized how to build trust, right? And that doesn't inauthenticate it. It actually makes it, what it says to me is when people follow a system is that this actually matters to you, right? This actually, that you actually want to have a way to repeatedly build authentic trust with people over time. Walk us through what that system looks like, Dan.
There's a 3-step model that I go through in the book called the Consistent Predictable Income Communication Model. I call it the CPI communication model for short. And in the CPI communication model, it is designed to be able to instantaneously build trust. And what those 3 steps in the CPI communication model are: number 1, to build rapport. We'll talk more about rapport is there in a second. Number 2 is to ask adept, deep diving questions. And number 3 is to then actively listen. So I'm giving you a 3-step formula that I outline in the book as well. And to understand how to really, really implement this to be able to create trust, let's talk about what rapport is. Because a lot of times people hear the word rapport and they're thinking it's some sort of like gimmick, or they're thinking that it's a way to, it's the likability, or we're the same type of person. Those are all ways to gain rapport, but what rapport is in of itself is a connection. And what is it a connection of? It's a connection of energy between you and I, right? It's not just, looking at Justin, looking at your body and looking at you as a human being. It's looking at you as a spiritual being, and then understanding that I'm also a spiritual being, and then interacting with you such that I'm looking for those spirits to intertwine. Now, to do that, I have to pay attention to 2 things. I have to pay attention to you, and I have to pay attention to me. And I have to sit there and say, how do I feel? Okay, because when I feel great, the odds are you feel great. And that's the beginning point of any relationship, of any conversation. Then you're going to ask adept questions. These are the questions designed to be able to uncover the truth, the fear, the things that they're really, really worried about. And the key ingredient to this is a phrase that I say, tell me more about that. I think tell me more about that. If you're writing down any notes, that's the key phrase right there. It's the number 1 phrase that's going to make you, or have the opportunity at least to make you tons and tons of money. But money is also a byproduct of just helping people, right? Just to be clear on where the money comes from. So number one is to be in rapport. Step number 2, ask adept questions. And then finally, step number 3 is to actively listen. And what you're actively listening to is to the energy between the 2 people, between yourself and another, between yourself and multiple people. And you can probably imagine a time, I'm in real estate sales. Some of your audience may be in real estate sales, but they may be insurance sales or plumbing or whatever the case may be. But there's been times where I've asked a husband and wife, are you ready to write an offer that gets accepted on this home? And one says, yes. And the other says, yeah. The words are the same, but one's clearly saying no. Now, if you're not paying attention to the energy of the one that says, yeah, and if you're not calling that out and addressing it, you're really setting yourself up for failure. So those are the 3 steps in the book that I outlined, the CPI communication model: build rapport, ask adept questions, and then actively listen, which will allow for you to be able to become more referable, because you're going to be clear, you're going to be helpful, you're going to be consistent, you're going to follow the model I just gave. And really some things to consider is to ask better questions, listen longer, teach simply, help people with, make better decisions, and then follow up with them in a way that feels human.
I want to hit on this concept of rapport, because I've never heard it actually defined like that, right? It's kind of this like, oh yeah, I've got rapport, I don't have it. Not getting too theological here, but I believe that we are all sons and daughters of God. Now, you may or may not believe in that, depending upon who you are listening to this, right? But when you look at it through that way of like, oh, you're actually my sibling. Like we actually have a connection already, right? We're not like just some kind of random species, and like there's actually an already, like you said, where each of us are a spirit, son or daughter of the same parental. Like when you think of it that way, and again, you may or may not subscribe to that belief. My point is, find some way, and some have even said it differently, of like those who say, I can learn from every single person that I meet, right? The point is to establish some sort of common ground among you to where you realize that you have way more in common than the differences, right? In our world today, if you're like on the left side of the aisle or the right side of the aisle, like, I can't stand you. You're trying to ruin the country. You're trying to ruin the world. Like, I think the media plays into this of like, let's separate us and show us how different we are. And I think what rapport does, it actually eliminates those, right, temporary barriers to say, no, actually, we have way more in common, right? And bring that connection. I think that's the essence or the foundation of trust. And then these other components you added in, Dan, are brilliant about listen longer, right? Ask more and better questions, which is the question you gave us, right? Which is, tell me more about that. And I'll say this because we are so consumed as a society and looking in the mirror of social media, checking our own breath, that we miss the fact that there are people around us that are starving for attention and validation. And as soon as we start to actually stop, listen, and learn from other people, the world opens up. We realize like how many wonderful people there are around us and how many opportunities there are for us to walk through much bigger doors than the ones we're going through, right? So I absolutely love that first chapter. Belief is so impactful that, again, if you are a professional that wants to build a referral relationship-based business, that section is a must read. So love it. Then let's jump on to the next section, lead generation, right? Sometimes this brings with it a little bit of like anxiety of like, it means cold calling, right? It means like having people mad at me all day. And I know how you have done it, right? Which is you've taught to sell. And there are a number of different ways that you can generate leads for your business. But talk to us about the fundamentals when it comes to teaching to sell that might cause people to not be so afraid of it, right? That actually might cause people to lean in versus lean out.
Yeah. So first of all, understand that you're a guide. Okay. So when you understand that referrals don't come from begging, they come from leadership, and a good salesperson, they're there to help the client understand what problem does that client have? What are they really trying to solve? What happens if they do nothing? What options do they have? And what's the best next step? And when you understand that you're there as a guide, that's sales. Excuse me for my voice. And you could tell that it's getting close to the book launch in my voice.
He's talking all over the world, guys. We're so fortunate to have him here. We got the last voice.
And so when you understand that referrals, they don't come from begging, they come from leading. All right. Now let's give the audience an exercise to help you be more inclined to be able to lead generate. So if you're not driving right now, you're listening to this, I want you to get out a piece of paper. Actually, get out 2 pieces of paper. And on the first piece of paper, I want you to write down every single thing that's good about you. What does your mama say that you're good at doing? What do you enjoy doing? What does your spouse, your kids, your brother, your sister, your best friend? What makes you unique? What are your God-given talents? And I don't have the time to really, walk you through this slowly, but you're going to probably want to pause this right now, spend around 5 minutes or so and actually answer those questions and then come back. And so if you paused and you came back, we're going to take that first list of what are your superpowers. And now we're going to say in your industry, what are all the different ways that you can find business? You could, use the upstream model, and you could find, partners that can refer you 5 or 20 times a year. You can post a billboard out there. You can do a radio ad. You can do a television ad. You can do social media. You can door knock. You can prospect. You can network. There's all these different ways that you can find business. And so at the end of the day, and you may want to pause this again and take around 10 minutes or so and really, really dive into what are all the ways I can find business, not what are the ways that I can actually afford, because you may not be able to afford a television ad. But just write it all out there, because now we have that all in place. And so what we have now is we have our superpowers, what makes us great. And we have all the ways that we could, do business. So now all you do is you simply just match. And you say, well, what superpowers do I have? And what are the ways for me to generate business? And let's say it's, door knocking, though I don't recommend that, but let's say door knocking is something that you're really, really comfortable doing. You're comfortable meeting new people. You're not afraid of the dog chasing you down or anything like that. And like, this is your skill. Then now that's your job description. But you got to start with what you enjoy doing first, because if you don't start there, then you're going to end up doing what all the gurus say, and you're going to just burn out. You're not going to enjoy it. So for me, and I go through that in the book as well, that's the way to be able to set you up for success, to be able to lead generate in a way that you're going to consistently do it 1 to 3 hours a day, 4 to 5 days, every single week.
Because you've attached something that you're great at to
when you enjoy doing it.
Way of getting business. It's so simple.
I mean,
it's so simple. And so intuitive, right? Like I've always believed this as well, Dan, and taught the same thing, that if you've got to get up and like grit your teeth every single day to generate business, there are going to be days where you're not going to be consistent. You're not going to feel like it, and you're not going to do it. And that actually is the magic bullet, which is get up and do it every single day and smile and be happy about it, right? That's the key to success. Even if it's at times it can be a bit of a grind, the more that you can align your superpowers with that thing that generates business, where it doesn't feel like work. The reality is, you'll get up and you'll do it every day, and then you'll see the results, right? I mean, is it that simple?
I had a gym trainer ask me not too long ago, and he was training me, and he said, Dan, you have this success in real estate sales. It's one of my professions. And I said to him, and anytime I hear the word success, I edit that in my brain to put the word perceived in front of success, because I don't believe in success. I believe in perceived success, right? I mean, I do believe in success, but I think we all define that for ourselves, right? And so for me, success is love. Success is relationship. Success is being able to choose how to spend my time. Money's a part of it, right? But it's, money's just a tool to be able to afford to do the other things that I just mentioned. And so he was asking me, he said, what's the key to your success? And I said to him, well, believe it or not, it's pretty simple. He's like, what? I was like, I go to work every day. And he's like, well, no, it's got to be more than that. I'm like, no, that's it. That's all it is. The reason why I've had no broke months as a real estate sales agent since 2008 is because for almost 20 years, I've gone to work 5 days a week. Now, what does it mean to go to work? It doesn't mean going on Canva and trying to figure out how to do whatever the heck you do on Canva. It doesn't mean going to a networking event where if you are a real estate agent, there's 50 other real estate agents in the room. And maybe that's a good learning opportunity, right? But you're not necessarily going to generate business by doing that.
Yeah,
so
both
what
those
is my
activities
job?
Are preparing to work, right? Which there's a very clear distinction. Preparing to work versus work.
There's 5 things that I outline in the book that is your job, that makes you money. And this is true of any profession. So those 5 things are, number 1 is to find business, lead generate. You can lead generate through marketing, which costs you money, through prospecting, which costs you time, or through networking, which costs you both. After you lead generate, then the next step that makes you money is to convert those leads to meet with you. Then when you convert them to meet with you, the next step is to attend the appointment for the purpose to get hired. Then the next step that makes you money is to negotiate. And then the final step that's going to make you money is to know what to say and how to say it. So practice your scripts and dialogue. Those 5 things, we call that CPI time, consistent predictable income time. So again, it's lead generate, convert the leads to meet with you, attend the appointments to get hired, negotiate, and then practice your scripts and role play. There's 5 other things, we call that leverage time. So if CPI time is working in your business, leverage time is working on your business. The items that are going to be most impactful of working on your business are going to be recruit the right people to work with you. This is team members. Select the right people to be in business with. Train those people so they can reach your goals. Lead those people so they know how to think so they can reach their goals. And then motivate those people so they can reach their goals. So now I gave you 5 things for CPI time, 5 things for leverage time. Again, the leverage time is recruit talented people. Select the right people to be in business with. Train those people so they can reach their goals. Lead them so they know how to think so they can reach their goals. And motivate them so they can reach their goals. There's one more thing I'll throw on top of this. Manage your money. Now, I've given you 11 activities to be able to make your money as any business owner. Anything that's outside of those 11 activities is something that's more of a functionary thing that allows for you to do one of those 11 things. So if you can leverage that off to a virtual assistant, to AI, to a system, to something that's not those 11 things, then you're positioning yourself so that you're only doing money producing activities or business producing activities.
Dan, you led us already through some of what the rest of the book talks about, at least gave us a highlight, a sampling, right, which is organization building and leadership. In those two categories, what else would you add around the topic, again, of building a referral-based business, one that's, again, built on relationships and yet set up for the modern day, right? You talked about AI, you talked about even virtual assistants, just quality, talented people and systems and tools around you to help you do that. What insight would you have for those who, again, are focused on building a relationship-based business around building an organization and then leading that organization?
Well, before you make your first hire, you should do a few things. First of all, you should understand who you are. You should understand your values, your beliefs, your perspectives. Then you should know where you want to go. That's going to be your vision. Then you want to know how are you going to get there. That's your mission. And then you're going to want to know how you want to be treated and how you want other people to be treated around you. That's your culture. So that's the point to hiring. It's not looking at the other person, it's looking internally, because if I'm the person that's hiring, I'm the consistent. They have to align with me or I have to align with them. And if that's alignment's not there, it's going to not be a great hire. Then you identify, you take those 11 things that I gave you. That's your blueprint. For the next 2 weeks, write down every single thing that you do. And then find out how many of those things are not lead generation, lead conversion, attending appointments to get hired, negotiating, practicing my script and role play, recruiting, selecting, training, leading, motivating, and managing my money. What are all the things that are not in those 11 things? And those are the things to get somebody else to do. Or those are the things to get AI to do. Or to get a better system to do. So that's the order of operations. So then it's like, who are you going to hire first? You're going to hire an administrator first and an administrator second. I would recommend that you supplement those two administrators. One should be marketing and one should be administrative. And then you supplement those two administrators with AI to be able to take care of all the functionalities, things in your business, so that you can focus on the relationships that are going to give you those referrals that you talk about, Justin, and that your systems are able to, I mean, you guys use AI to be able to identify the people who are most likely to sell or to take some sort of action, and how to be able to connect like-minded or people that are going to already be naturally in the transaction, how you can connect them. There's all different kinds of ways that you can use AI, use systems, etc. But what I just described is like the foundation of building an organization and to leverage and scale.
And I love how you said that, Dan. And I've observed and admired for years how well, like what great leverage systems you have in place, right? And I know that's only getting better now with AI. The thing that I would encourage everybody to consider here that Dan really hit on is, in order to do everything that a business owner needs to do, you will frankly run out of time if you try and do it all yourself, right? You'll become jack of all trades, master of none, and your business will flounder as a result. And I think when you look at, again, building a relationship-based business, what Dan described is identify the leverage points that aren't necessarily upfront building relationships, right? I think if any of us were asked, what's the one thing that would have the greatest impact upon my business moving forward? It's building the right relationships, whether that's with clients, whether that's with upstream partners, and yet we always find a way to say we don't have enough time for that. Well, the universe has answered, and it gave you AI, and it gave you amazing virtual assistants that can step in and take those things off your plate. Now, you better do what you said you were going to do, right? If I could magically have all this work taken care of, like all this administrative work, or magically have all of the, add more hours in my day, that AI has the ability to do that. And I would not encourage you to use AI to replace yourself with those key relationships, because they will not be relationships anymore, right? Potentially use those in order to weed out which people you should be in relationships with. But then when you find the right people, spend more time with them, not less time with them, right? Use AI to help you to be more valuable in those conversations, right? To be better at following up on the things that you said you were going to do. All that makes sense. But when you're knee to knee with somebody, follow the things that Dan described, right? Listen longer. ask more and better questions, right? Be more concerned and interested in building trust, building rapport with other people than on just being there to get something from them. Because in the world of relationships, fast is slow. People recognize when you're there for yourself, and they recognize when you're there for them, and the output is very, very different if you can get your head around that. So, go ahead, Dan.
I was going to just say, Justin, so when you're looking at AI, understand that right now, I really strongly believe if you're a business owner, an entrepreneur, or a salesperson, you have about 18 months from the date that we're recording this in June of 2026 to be able to implement AI into your business at a high level. And meaning that you have agents doing work for you, that you actually have AI doing the work for you. All right. But again, this is the transactional work, the administrative work, because where I see the entrepreneur of the future that's going to be successful is the one that embraces AI for the logistical type things, the day-to-day widgets, so that they can focus on the relationship. Yes. The relationship is something that AI will never replace. Yet, if you're too busy doing the widget yourself 18 months from today, you're not able to continue, focusing on that relationship, and you're going to be at a competitive disadvantage significantly. Now's the time to adopt AI so that you can pour more into your relationships.
Absolutely. I think humans will become more hungry for genuine, true relationships with other humans. And those people who can still keep pace with today's economy through leveraging AI for all the other stuff so that they can spend more time, those people will be highly compensated, highly rewarded, not just in compensation, but in what you described as love, deep, trustful, like trusting relationships, right? Like that's where future success, including happiness, right, which is how you defined it, is at. So completely agree. Dan, one more question here. How did writing this book, Teach to Sell, change you? I mean, you poured a lot into this. You told early stories of being abused as a child. You told early stories of struggling with alcoholism, all the way to to now where you're an international figure speaking on TED stages, teaching people how to do what you've done, taking it from the lows of the lows to now a great place. How did, when you documented and saw that whole journey play out, right, as your mentor invited you to do, is like, I'll teach you if you'll document and put it in a book, right? How did that process change you?
It provided me with gratitude, and in the process of understanding that. I'll give you an example. So these past 2 weeks have been a challenge for me. 2 weeks ago, I had to let an employee go, and I had another key employee got very sick, and I had multiple transactions falling apart simultaneously. And so it was not a fun week. One that's the business, like I haven't experienced a week like that in years. This week, because of last week, I've been going on 5 to 6 appointments a day, whether if it's a podcast or a face-to-face appointment, whatever the case may be. But the point that I'm making here, Justin, is that even in the face of having those hard weeks, I still had faith to say, I'm going to figure this out. I lost a tremendous amount of compensation last week that I've recovered already because I had faith in myself, right? Like I had gratitude even in the moment of suck, because I know that when things go wrong, and they will, that when you can focus on, what lesson is this teaching me right now? Right? Because gratitude and negativity, they cannot coexist. And you mentioned that I share about my life, and my life hasn't been necessarily an easy one. I don't want to compare it to others and say it's been harder than others, but I would just say it hasn't always been easy. And a lot of that was based on the choices that I made, to be able to continue drinking and abusing and all that type of stuff I did as a young man. But if I didn't have that experience, those tough times, then the good times that I have, they would be, not as cherished. And so I'd say the number one thing that I learned by writing the book was we get to design this life, and I'm not perfect, and I haven't gotten my life perfect, but I've been all in. I could tell you that. And I've had some tough times and some great times, and The tough times I'm grateful for, and the great times I'm grateful for. So just understanding that gratitude is a superpower for sure.
Dan, I love what you said. And to me, that is the story of mortality. That is the story of our lives, is that if everything were always good, which is deep down, I think, what we all want, we wouldn't actually come to appreciate the really good times. Yeah. And it's through those difficult times that a couple things happen. Number one is we get formed into more capable people. Number one, of repeating that success. And number two, inspiring other people that are currently in a valley. And to me, that's one of the greatest blessings of life, is to be able to go through a valley with grace, with faith that, hey, I can figure this out, like you described, and then come out on top and be able to look down at that valley, right? Send the elevator back down, so to speak, for someone else to say, hey, I've been where you're at, and you're going to be fine. You got this, right? Because nobody can speak to someone in a valley quite like someone who's come out of a valley and say, I was there, and you can do this. You got this. And that, to me, that's where joy comes in, is because it's not just happiness anymore. It's like actually pulling people out of difficult situations. And that's a life well lived. And my friend, that is the life that you're living in. It's a great honor for me to call you a friend. And I'm grateful to have you in the Pro Insight ecosystem, on the Built on Referrals podcast, and someone who I trust entirely. And I'm grateful for the friendship we've created. So
Thank you.
With that, to all those who have been listening, again, if you have gotten any value from this, I want you to share this episode. And I want you to go to teachtosellbook.com. I think I got that right. teachtosellbook.com. I've got it, you guys. I'm loving it, and I'm learning so much already. Get the book. Do yourself a favor, and figure out that selling doesn't have to be this hard. It doesn't have to be as hard as you've made it. You can actually become a teacher, a leader, a mentor, not just to clients, but to an organization and to other people around you that you can inspire. So, Dan, thank you for leading by example on what it looks to teach to sell. You've taught us today, and I know you're going to continue to go inspire the world in big and wonderful ways, my friend. And
God bless you.
Take care.